If custom is what you want for your 2018 to 2023 GT or EcoBoost Mustang, this set of Oracle Black Series Dynamic Color Shift LED headlights with sequential turn signals, a black housing, and a clear lens will be right up your alley. Now, this will be a great option for those S550 owners really looking to take it up a notch when it comes to styling, whether you want to outshine the competition at a show or just add a personal touch to your Mustang day-to-day. Now, along with style, these are also going to offer better lighting performance if your current headlights have started to wear and you're in need of an upgrade, or the factory ones just aren't cutting it anymore when it comes to performance or style. Now, these are going to have a pretty similar housing or setup when it comes to the factory ones, yet these are going to be a lot stealthier with a black look for a contrasted appearance and, of course, a more custom feel thanks to the RGB halo and tri-bar lighting. Now, those two combined will have multiple different options when it comes to being able to customize the color as well as the effects with pulsing and strobing effects and much more available on the app. Now, these will also most importantly include a bright white high and low beam inside that projector lens, which will create a clearer and more concise beam pattern for great visibility at night. Now, these are also going to offer additional features like sequential turn signals to make you a lot more noticeable on the road, and easy access to change throughout those custom features and colorways on the fly with Bluetooth compatibility thanks to the free Oracle smartphone app. Now, with all that being said, these will offer a tough construction with a solid OE style plastic material on the back, which is going to offer a factory-like fit. Now, on the front, these will have a hard-coated polycarbonate lens, which will hold up incredibly well to any kick-up on the street, keeping that clean and classic look for years to come. This is also going to come with everything that you need and be mostly plug-and-play when it comes to the harness and the included additional harness here, but you will still have to do a little bit of wiring for that turn signal. It's nothing too intimidating, and we'll show you how to do that in just a minute. When it comes to price, these are a premium choice at about $1,400. Now, compared to other RGB options, this set will come with some of the most customization out of the entire category, can be changed on the fly to your personal preference, and are an all-around showstopper if that outgoing look is something that you want for your S550. Not to mention, these will be a full easy swap instead of an add-on, and although it is a little bit more expensive, I think that if you want that custom feel with effortless control and a well-built headlight, then these are going to fit that mold. Install will be a lighter 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, being pretty straightforward. Even though this is going to take a little bit of wiring, I would say it's going to take about an hour to get the job done. Now, at this point, we can head over to the shop and check out a detailed breakdown on how to get these onto your S550 at home. So that's going to wrap it up for me. Let's go ahead and get into it.
The tools you'll need for this project are a ratchet, a 5.5, a 7, an 8, a 10, and a 13mm socket, a swivel joint, a long extension, a trim panel removal tool, a pair of pliers, a test light, a pair of wire strippers and crimpers, and you'll also need to source some sort of electrical connector such as a T-tap and spade bits. Hi everyone, today we're installing a set of headlights on our Mustang, but first, let's get started with the uninstall of the stock lights. All right, now you don't have to do this on a lift. You can definitely do this on the ground or on a set of jack stands. We'll make it even easier. We're only got it on the lift because we want to be able to show you exactly where everything is at. So the first thing we're going to do is remove 4 screws from the bottom of our splash guard here. We've got one here. It's set up inside, one here, and then we've got one here and one here. So let's go ahead and take those out first, and then we'll get to the push pins. So using our 7mm socket, we'll take out these 2 back ones here. Now we'll take out the 2 front ones, again with our 7mm socket. Now using our trim removal tool or a flathead screwdriver if you don't have one of these, go ahead and pop these push pins out here, here, and here. And now you can remove the other 3 on the other side. Now we've got 3 more push pins on each side, just inside the fender well here. One at the bottom, one in the middle, and then there's one up here that's a little difficult to see. It's set inside. We need to remove those 3 push pins on both sides. So again, using our trim removal tool or a flathead screwdriver, go ahead and pop these out. Now you can repeat that process for the other side. All right, now we're going to remove our radiator cover here using our push pin removal tool. We've got 8 push pins that we have to remove, and then we can lift our cover up. Now we can remove the 8 bolts that go across the top of the bumper here. And the 2 on the ends are going to be 5.5 millimeter, and everything in between is going to be an 8 millimeter. Now there are 2 more nuts that we have to take off on each side. They're located inside the fender here. It's very difficult to get the camera in there, so you're not going to be able to see them this way. If you don't have this type of a setup on yours, then you can do it going in through the fender well here. Just peel back the fender liner and you can reach in and you'll see the 2 nuts right in there. I find it easier to go in through the top here, so let's go ahead and get those removed and then we can get our bumper off. And now you can repeat that process for the other side. All right, once you've got those last 4 nuts removed, we can go ahead and separate our bumper from the fender. And to do that, we're just going to grab a hold of our bumper here, pull down and out. And I like to put a cloth over top of the studs on here just to prevent from scratching the paint. So what we're going to do, like I said, we're just going to grab this, pull it down and out, and then just put a soft cloth over the studs and do the same thing for the other side. All right, now we can go ahead and lift up on the top of our bumper here, get it off of the pins that hold it in place, and pull it out. Now you don't want to pull it all the way out just yet because we do need to disconnect the turn signals. Lift our bumper up, pull it out. Now we'll disconnect our fog light and turn signal harness here simply by pushing down on the release tab and pulling it away. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Now with our turn signal harnesses disconnected, we can just go ahead and lift this out of the way. Now to remove our headlights, we're going to remove this 10 millimeter bolt here, and there's one on the bottom here, and then there's a 13 millimeter bolt on the side. Now we just slide our light out, disconnect our harness here, pushing on the release tab, and pulling it out. And now you can repeat that process for the other side. All right, before we get to actually installing our new lights, there's a couple of things we need to take care of first. One is the wiring harness that's connected to the controller for the lights. Now you'll notice on these wiring harnesses, we've got 3 unattached wires here that they're not finished off with a compatible electrical connector. So that's what we're going to fix right now so that we can go ahead and hook them to our lights and everything will work once we get it installed. Now we've got 2 of them, everything is labeled here. 2 of them are for the turn signal, 1 of them is for the DRL. Now the ones for the turn signal are optional. You can use them or not because everything is going to be connected together, including the factory turn signals and the turn signals in the lights if you connect these up. We'll show you how to connect them and then you can make the decision on your own whether or not you want to keep them that way. The DRL light, however, is a very important light. Because of the color changing options that you have on these lights and the legality of driving with different colored lights other than white or yellow, this light this wire here is very important. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that we get this connected up as well so that everything functions when we get it installed. Now what we're going to use are some simple spade connectors and a T-tap to connect to our factory wiring harness on the vehicle. So what we're going to do is on the end of these wires, now there should be enough wire stripped off so that you can actually use the connector. If not, just use your wire strippers and strip a little bit of the insulation off the end, and then we can go ahead and connect our connector. In this harness, one harness has the turn signal and the DRL wire connected, and the other one only has a turn signal wire. The turn signal wire only is for the driver's side, and the two wires are for the passenger side. So we'll go ahead and slip our spade connector over the end of our wire, like so, feeding it through the eyelet in the end of the connector, and then using our crimping tool, we'll go ahead and squeeze that down and make sure that it's tight. We'll just give it a little pull, make sure that everything is secured. Now we'll do that for the other wires as well. And finally, our DRL wire. Now, if you've never used these T-taps before, they're really simple to use. And what we're going to do is we're going to connect this T-tap to the factory wiring harness on the vehicle. And we're going to pretend that this wire that I'm holding here is one of the wires in the factory harness. So what you're going to do is slide your factory wire into the metal bit that's inside the T-tap. So we'll place the wire over the metal component inside the T-tap, close the lid over top of it, and then we're going to use a pair of needle nose pliers and squeeze it together until it locks together. All right, what that does is the metal piece inside the T-tap will pierce the insulation on the wire, making a connection, and then we can plug our connector into the side of the T-tap. That way we've got a good connection and we don't have to worry about permanent additions to our harness. Now we're ready to install our light, and you'll notice that our new light has an additional harness coming out of the back of it. This is what is going to plug into our controller. So we're going to just leave that hang for right now and go ahead and plug in our light harness connector. Make sure it snaps into place, and then we can go ahead and put our light into position and secure it with the original hardware. Now we'll put the 13 millimeter in the side here, and we'll tighten them all down. Now we'll tighten down the two bolts in the front using our 10 millimeter socket. Now we're going to take our harness that's connected to our headlight, and we're going to run this underneath the bracket for the bumper support here. So we're just going to run this underneath the light and underneath the top braces on this support bracket. And we're just going to let that sit there for right now while we install the other light. All right, now that we've got both of our lights installed, we can go ahead and install our controller. Now you'll notice that our controller has two plugs on it. These are going to connect to the two harnesses from the back of our headlights. Now, these are going to be side specific. However, the harnesses are not labeled as to which side is which. So what's going to happen when we plug these in and we connect our harness to some power, we're going to have to double check to make sure that the turn signals are properly connected to the right side of the controller. Otherwise, you're going to have a driver's side front and a passenger side rear turn signal going at the same time. So we'll deal with that when we have to. So right now we're just going to slide our controller basically in the same position that we run our harness underneath the braces for the support bracket for the bumper. And you might want to consider putting in some double-sided tape here and clean off this bracket here to attach it to keep it secure and not falling around. So we're just going to feed this in with our harness. And since we're not doing this as a permanent addition to our vehicle, we're not going to secure it with the double-sided tape, but we are going to connect everything up. So we'll just grab one of the wires, plug it in until it snaps in. Grab the other side, connect it. And now we're ready to run the rest of our wires. Now we're ready to run our power and our ground for our controller to a power source, which is going to be right here next to our fuse box, and then the ground right here. Now before you run any kind of power to your controller, it's always a good idea to disconnect your battery first. So we'll disconnect the battery cable on the negative side using our 10mm socket. And we'll get that out of the way. Now we're going to run our power and our ground through underneath the core support bracket here, right in front of the relay that's mounted. So we'll just feed those wires through, like so. And now our power wire is going to go underneath the fuse box lid here. We just lift that up and you see you've got 3 studs in here to be able to connect power to. So we're just going to run this behind the existing wiring harness that's here to make sure that it stays out of the way. All right, and then we're going to loosen up this nut here on this first stud using our 10mm socket. And we'll slide the connector underneath that stud and then tighten it back down. And then our ground, we're going to run it under the 2 brackets here on the fuse box. And we're going to connect it to this factory ground on the shock tower. Now for that, you'll need an 8mm socket to loosen that up. Slide our connector underneath. And then tighten it back down. Now, once you've got that done, we can go ahead and reconnect our battery. Tighten the nut down with our 10mm socket. Now we're going to feed our turn signal and our DRL wire for the passenger side down to the connector for our turn signals. And now we'll run the one for the driver's side. We're going to run that right along where we put in the harness for the headlights. All right, now we're ready to hook up our turn signal and our DRL wires. And we're going to hook that up to our turn signal harness that's hanging down below here. Now, as you can see, we've already got our T-taps installed on this. We've done this once or twice on this vehicle already. But since you probably don't have this on your vehicle, we're going to show you how to determine which of these wires that we need to tap into so that we can plug in our harness. So we've already turned on our ignition and turned on our right side turn signal. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna use your test light, make sure that it's on a good ground, and then we're just gonna start probing each of the connectors pins to see which one flashes for our turn signal. So we'll start off with the first one and then just work our way down until we find one that actually lights up. So we'll insert it in the first one. We get nothing. Insert it into the second one. It's flashing just like a turn signal flasher would. So we know that we've got it hooked up correctly at our controller as well. Now, if you go through all of these and you do not find any of them that will light up and start flashing, that will tell you that you need to switch the connectors up here at your control box, flip those around, and then you should be able to determine which one it is. So we determined that it's the second connector here in our connector, and that's actually a yellow wire with a purple stripe on it. So we can go ahead and plug in our turn signal connector to that T-tap, and then do the same thing for the other side. You'll just start pinning it in till you get it to flash once you flip the switch in the vehicle to the driver's side, and then you'll plug the same thing in after you install your T-tap. Now, once we've got that done, then we can go ahead and determine which one it is for our DRLs. So let's go ahead and start with that. All right, now we've turned our turn signals off and we've turned our parking lights on. So we're gonna follow the same procedure that we did for the turn signals. We're gonna probe each one of these slots in the connector here to figure out which one is actually for our parking lights. So we start at the front one here and just work our way down. There we go. So now we know which one is our hot wire for our parking lights. And on the back side, as you can see, we've already got our T-tap installed, but that is a purple wire with a green stripe. So now we'll go ahead and plug in our DRL after you install your T-tap. And as you can see, our lights came on. Now we're ready to actually go ahead and finish installing our bumper. So now that we're ready to reinstall our bumper, we'll reconnect our turn signal and parking light harness. Make sure that it snaps into place and do the same thing for the other side. Now we can lift our bumper up and set it on the support here, making sure that the alignment tabs are all in place. Now we'll go ahead and connect our bumper to our fender, sliding that up into place and attaching it with the original hardware. And keep in mind that it is a little difficult to get a camera in here, but you know exactly where these studs are at that you need to put the nuts on. And we'll tighten them down with our 10mm socket and our swivel joint. And now we'll do the same thing for the other side. Now we can put our 8 screws across the front of the bumper here, remembering of course that the 5.5mm screws go on the ends. Now we'll tighten down the ones in the middle using our 8mm socket. Tighten down the 2 on the ends with our 5.5mm. Now we'll reinstall our radiator cover and secure it using the original push pins. Now we install the 3 push pins on the outer edge of our fender liner. Remember, of course, this top one here is recessed in, so it's a little difficult to get the camera in there. And repeat the same process for the other side. And now we can get the 2 push pins on the inside of our fender well liner. And finally, we'll install our 4 7mm screws in the bottom of our splash pan. And we'll tighten them down with our 7mm socket. All right, now that we've got our lights installed and they're all connected up, now it's time to go ahead and load our app onto our phone. Now you can do this either with Android or with iOS. So to go to your app store, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna search for the LED Hue app. As you can see, LED Hue, go ahead and select that. Click on Install, and then click on Open. Now, it does say that you have to have Bluetooth scanning available on your phone. So just click OK, Allow. And then once this screen comes up here, you're gonna need to scroll down until you find the product name of SP110E. Go ahead and select that. And you see it at the top, it comes up in blue, and it's currently turned off, which is what we want for right now. Next thing you're going to want to do is check at the bottom of the screen, and you want to make sure that it says GRB and SK6812. Once you're sure that those are set, if not, go ahead and scroll down both lists until you get to this configuration. Once you get to that configuration, go ahead and click Enter. So now when it comes up, you'll see that you've got the option here of selecting solid colors in these 2 lines here. You can also adjust the brightness and the speed of the animation of the lights. Now currently ours is set to solid. We can change that in a little bit and we'll show you how. Now once you've got that set up, you can go ahead and press the back arrow at the top, and then you click on the on-off switch here for the SP110E, which, by the way, you can also rename this at a later time simply by pressing and holding on the name, and then it will give you the option to go ahead and rename it. So we'll click on the on button there, and that will automatically turn on our lights. Now, this only works if the vehicle is off. Once you turn the vehicle on, then the DRLs automatically switch on to white, and you can no longer control the animation on the lights through your app. So once you've got it turned on, go ahead and hit Enter, and now we can go ahead and change the display of our lights simply by either selecting a different color or going around the circle here and selecting the animation that you want. And that wraps up our review and install of the Oracle Black Series Dynamic Color Shift LED headlights with sequential turn signals in the black housing and clear lens for your 18 to 23 Mustang GT and EcoBoost. Thanks for watching, and remember, for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.